And welcome to the Meckdonalds Roundtable podcast. We are in no way affiliated to the restaurant chain Meckdonalds. Our podcast is spelled M-E-C-K Donalds. Now, introducing this show is me.
Sammy.
You messed me.
I'm sorry.
It's me, Arend Vischer.
We're doing this one take, guys.
Me, Sammy Tang.
And me, Ben Cannoli.
You can just edit that part out where I interrupt you, alright?
All right.
Alright, let's keep going.
It's in the take now. Don't worry about
Whatever, don't worry about it.
So we're going to start the show off with our weekly recap of all the crazy stuff that's happened to us in school.
We are all sophomores, by the way, just saying.
Oh yeah, sophomore, second semester.
And yes, if you can imagine our faces, it probably, you want to aim a little lower on your standards.
Yes, I do have big hair, if you're wondering.
Sometimes a mullet, but that's, it's whatever.
Only when I'm wet, yes.
Yes, and you will not describe anything else about our identities until later episodes. You have to pretend who we are for now.
You'll have to rely on fan art only.
And we do accept fan art. All is welcome.
I know, you did it wrong. You introduced the fan art on the third or fourth episode, and then you got the real life events and meetups and sell the
We're
t-shirts
not cutting
and the coffee
this.
mugs.
This is going to be in the episode.
No, I don't care, right?
Okay, Sammy.
Okay, let's begin the weekly recap before we get off
weekly
track.
I hope you hate us by now.
Weekly recap.
Weekly recap. So now.
Oh, we need a jingle for the Meckdonalds
Just
podcast.
edit it in later. Come on. All right, go.
All right, don't worry.
Fine.
Okay, so me and my colleague Cannoli over here are in the same honors biology class, which was taught by a woman by the name of Mrs. Simonetti, or as we called her, Mrs. Spaghetti. Now,
For no real reason, she had a funny name. That's about it.
it wasn't insulting or anything. we just did it because, And actually, that class is where the name McDonald's came from in the first place.
It's the originator of Meckdonalds.
It was the Google Hangouts we started in her class. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, she has left us now.
Oh, she's not dead. She just moved out, in case you're wondering.
Yes, she has left and gone to a suburb near Tampa, Florida, of all places.
She's gone to not only be near her family, but, Arend, would you like to handle this?
She's gone full-blown Italian. She's gone... She, as they would say in the 1950s, gone, I believe it's called native.
Yeah, so now
She's gone to make pizza. Miss Spaghetti's going to make pizza now.
All right, no, you're getting a little too personal on the first episode, all right? You probably scared off 90% of our listeners. Now, since, as the name suggests, let's move on to the actual weekly recap.
This is the weekly recap.
We are doing it. Anyway,
we're recapping.
Miss Simonetti went to Florida to open a pizza shop.
And we are going to track her down. No, I'm just kidding.
We are going to find her pizza shop, and we are going to order pizza and force the driver to drive all the way from Florida to Illinois. Man, can you imagine the tip that guy's going to receive?
I mean, all we have to do is try every single pizza restaurant in Tampa, Florida. We'll get there eventually. And in other news, me and Sammy here we also share a class, honors pre-calculus. Our very own Mr. Kim, he's going to be on Jeopardy. Sammy, would you like to elaborate?
All right, so as Ben just spoiled, yes, we are on honors pre-calc, and yes, we are nerds. Well, at least one of us is. But basically, our teacher, one of the honors pre-calc teachers, Mr. Kim, or the other Mr. Brown, has been, he's got a very... Let's just say interesting.
Mr. Kim is just the best. He eats cucumbers in class.
Yes, basically, yes.
Raw cucumbers, by the way.
Not chopped, just full on. Grab it by the stick, chopping off. What a
no seasoning at all.
No seasoning.
Basically, yes.
Do you season your cucumbers, Arend?
I put some nice spices, pepper on them.
I can respect that. Anyway, Sammy, continue.
He's got a very, we're not going to have any bias, but exquisite personality. And now we found out that he's going to Jeopardy in California, and he was in the parade this morning on the announcement. So we're all very proud of him.
Are we going to have subs on those days? Well, he's at Jeopardy.
It's over the weekend. Can
you imagine, the sub trying to explain why they're there?
Well, I mean,
No, imagine someone trying to explain to the sub why they have to go and sub.
I think the reason Mr. Kim has almost never been absent is so he could save up days for this, his Jeopardy times. So we'll be rooting for him. All right, if he wins, he'll be Naperville North's greatest hero teacher, at least for a little while.
He's going to win. I
Well,
just
of
have
course
this
he's going to
feeling.
win. If he doesn't win, well, he's not our teacher anymore. Anyways,
Well,
on to the next thing.
I'd like to introduce you to a presidential candidate that you might not know of. One who's already dropped out, it is true. But one that, in about January, yes. But one that we can learn a lot from. Many candidates focus on material things. They are taking the war to companies, to people, to countries. But what about spiritual warfare? What about opening America's third eye? What about defeating Donald Trump's dark, psychic, collective forces and bringing in a new spiritual utopia to the United States? I am, of course, talking about lifestyle guru and presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. Now, Marianne Williamson is probably best known for her work as Oprah's spiritual advisor.
Also seems to be quite an accomplished author from her homepage, marianne.com, where she has a stack of about 6 books conveniently placed next to her.
Well, in all honesty, yeah, this is not being taken very seriously. But Arend has a habit to take interest in the weirdest and most random things.
That's why our podcast is going to be about 1/3 political.
Yes.
Because that's just how it's going to be.
But nothing too controversial.
Look, Marianne Williamson is the least controversial person I can think of. Right? Her only real political policy is the war against antidepressant drugs and elevating the United States populace to a higher spiritual frequency. She wants to get in line with those cosmic string fragments and just vibe out with them. Although, in all seriousness, we should go into her backstory. If I remember correctly, Marianne is formerly Jewish, but she disliked the teachings of the book. She believed that you should really follow your heart, if I am remembering right. Please correct me if I am wrong. Now, on the debate stage, Marianne is... it's quite a force to be reckoned with, as she can level the full power of her spiritual consciousness.
Don't lean into the mic, Arend. We don't need that.
You mean like this?
No,
an ASMR episode. I'll edit this out. Don't worry. I'll edit this out.
I know most of you think
no
that...
editing. This is a one-take podcast.
We are editing this stuff out.
We are editing.
I am.
No.
I will edit it.
Now, I know most of you think that I'm really exaggerating what Marianne is about. That she's mainly about drugs and... not like that. She's definitely into shrooms, but she's very against antidepressants and all that. But you probably think that I'm exaggerating how spiritual she is. I can tell you now I'm not kidding at all. On her presidential homepage, when you scroll down, you immediately find books by her, and all of them.
No, there's books by her on every one of her websites.
Every one of her websites has books by her, and all of them have to do with spirituality and finding your soul in this new materialist, secular world. All I'm saying is...
Oh, wait, look at this. She has 6 pillars for a season of moral repair.
Yes, what a great president this person would be. I cannot see any reason why she would drop out at all.
There's the Agenda for Economic Justice, U.S. Department of Children and Youth, Mass Mobilization for Climate Change, U.S. Department of Peace, reparations, and the whole health plan.
And she's doing the same post.
The whole health plan.
The whole health plan.
As in, we're gonna get those psychics out again. Remember those CIA black ops where they were bending spoons?
We're gonna bust out the hidden health plan.
Remember how they invented LSD to try and give people telekinetic powers? Marianne is going to reinvest in that project and get us all actual psychic powers.
I see a lot of I think she can really go the distance with this whole health plan. You know, a lot of candidates, they say, you know what, we're gonna redo part of the health plan. Marianne, she kicks that out the window and says, no, we are going to do more than provide universal health care. She will provide, yeah, I'm quoting it. She will provide opportunities for health. What does that mean? I have no clue. My whole health plan, all caps, treats root causes as well as symptoms, not only challenging forces that create toxins in our water, food, and air. Oh, there's a typo. They missed a D. But also providing.
Isn't she a millionaire?
Is she a millionaire? What's her net worth? Arend, get her net worth.
No, I'm the one recording this currently.
Yeah, we can put it in later, but I don't know. It's a lot basically.
Oh, okay, it's probably
$2 million.
Wow. And she didn't even have enough for an editor.
There's really nothing. Yeah. She's just saying that she's going to provide options and treat root causes.
Well, this doesn't seem to have already dropped out, so...
Oh, universal health care, you know, seems like the Democratic package.
I feel like I remember her, like, endorsing Bernie Sanders. Is that true?
I could see that.
Something like that's probably happened, yeah.
Same party, you know.
But could you imagine, like, Donald Trump and Marianne Williamson having a debate? Like, Trump is like, look, folks, Marianne, she's crazy. She's not a good Christian, folks. And then Marianne's like, look, guys, I got the orbs, all right? I got the orbs. I'm going to give you a third eye, and you're going to have a spiritual well-being that you've never known before.
Also, I'd like to point out that in case you're struggling in one of your language classes with what tenses are, Marianne's campaign slogan helps you out. You've got what was, what is, what will be in pink text.
Isn't that like one of the Call of Cthulhu, like, quotes? Oh, wait, no, that is what is, what was, what it was is.
Actually, no, do not confirm that fact. I just like to imagine that she's secretly running a cult behind the scenes.
I think she has
the Cthulhu orb cult.
I think she is Cthulhu in a context. You know, we need Cthulhu on America's good side.
Look, Marianne is the embodiment of Cthulhu, all right? Have you seen her? She looks so young that I'm pretty sure she's in her 60s. I mean, she looks in her 30s. She looks like Mrs. Skopek.
Seems like she has quite a skill with saying a lot of things. She wants to help forge another direction for our country, but I think she's intentionally avoiding specifics because I don't think Cthulhu has any real political stands on these sort of issues.
Oh, you should, man, could you imagine, like, her healthcare plan?
The whole
healthcare plan. Like, you go to a doctor, and then suddenly, I have this, like, image of the 90s, like, the hippie who, like, never got a job, even after it died out.
The doctor is just floating. He is like, what may I assist you in?
The doctor is in his ascendance. He has reached enlightenment and is seeking... He has, like, the Zenyatta thing where he has, like, 4 arms, but they're all glowing. Like, the doctor's like, okay...
That's a legal requirement to open a practice in America in Marianne's reign.
Her reign. Wait, do you know, like, if Marianne is, like, the positive spiritualist, then John Hickenlooper must be, like, the Dark Lord.
No, Trump is. She's explicitly stated that he is the dark psychic force.
Well, if she said it's true, then it obviously must be true.
Wait, do you think, have you seen those, like, those Facebook memes where it's, like, Hillary Clinton and she's, like, like, wrestling against God? Like, she's got her arm against God's, and it's the contest of strength thing, and she's winning. Like the evangelical meme that's like, you gotta defeat Hillary Clinton before she kills God.
Was this in the 2016 election?
Yes. But I'm just imagining...
Anything you can imagine probably exists.
I have no context for this.
I'm imagining, like, Marianne Williamson is just floating above it all, and it's just, like, fighting...
I just Googled Hillary Clinton versus God meme, and that's just a bunch of impact font.
Sounds like something Sterling would make.
You know, Marianne will defeat the impact font. She will replace it all with Comic Sans. All right.
All right, I think we're done.
I think we've
bashing
picked on
1
her
second.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long enough. You guys, I think you took it a little too far.
Look, I think she can regenerate all her
Alright.
wounds
Well,
with her powers.
While we're in the political segment of the show, I think it's time we moved on to a more, we've talked about the spiritual, we've talked about the mental issues plaguing America and the whole health plan.
But what about the small people issues?
What about the physical issues? The ones where you might happen to break a couple ribs, where you face
More
these
than a
issues.
couple.
More than a
Oh,
couple.
I
And you
see.
get internal bleeding in your lungs.
Yes, this is our transition. Deal with it. Anyway, Arend, take it over. Tell us about the Rand Paul incident.
So, viewers, and
Or
yes,
listeners.
it is viewers, not
No,
listeners.
No, it's
definitely
listeners.
viewers.
You're seeing with your
I
ears.
listen to actual podcasts. They call them listeners.
They are staring at the screen right now. They are intently
The
looking.
vibrations travel through the air and
There has
bounce
to be
off their
more than one
corneas.
listener to be considered viewers. So who are we really talking to?
What kind of logic? Wait, so
I'm
they're-
listening to this
they're-
afterward.
They're only listening if they're only listeners if there's one person.
No, you can't put the S because it has to be plural. As in, there's no one listening
Okay.
to this right now.
Okay, one person is a viewer, two people are viewers. All right, that's how we're addressing them.
Fine.
Viewers. Anyway, Arend, continue.
So I'd like to introduce you to Rand Paul, the son of, get this, Ron Paul. His father was Ron and he is Rand. Now, Rand Paul is many things. He's a libertarian senator, though he flies with the Republican Party. For those of you who don't know, libertarians are basically like, well, there's two types really. There's the guy who lives in his own compound in Louisiana with a gun who's like, I'm going to overthrow the government once it takes away my weapon. And then you have those that went to like George Mason University, like the nerds who are like, it's all about liberty. It's all about economics. But very basically, libertarianism is you're all free to do whatever you want as long as whatever you want is within the market. Like they were like, yeah, legalize drugs. We can sell that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, gay people. I mean, they say that.
We can sell them stuff.
Yeah, libertarians say they're against slavery, which they are, unless that slavery is like debt slavery. But very simply, they are culturally liberal, fiscally conservative.
Anyway, after that 5-minute briefing on libertarians.
Look, we gotta pad out the runtime, okay? We're at like 18 minutes.
No, we do not. Trust me, there are plenty of things we can talk about. You have no idea how off topic a bunch of teenagers can get.
We're leaving that in.
Oh,
No.
fine. I'll leave it in.
We have to make this one take. We are not cutting
No,
anything.
I get the file. I have Sony Vegas. I'll figure this stuff out.
No,
All right?
no,
But for now,
no Sony Vegas.
how about Rand Paul? All right.
Okay,
Keeping this
Rand
in
Paul.
context.
I will just put the context and he can tell the actual story. But this is going to be a story of massive proportions, an actual legend that you would not believe, has so many articles written about it, is completely ridiculous, and just the type of thing Arend would love.
Wow, way to
please.
hype it up.
Yeah, this is more like hype than context.
Okay,
isn't that the same
let's.
thing?
So Rand Paul, right? He's a Republican senator, libertarian, kind of that thing. He's also a failed presidential candidate,
Which
twice,
is,
I believe.
that's pretty normal for senators.
His father
I'd say.
also failed. Oh, and he's a doctor, but the story of him becoming a doctor is actually rather interesting because he's not licensed in any other state other than Kentucky. Like, he managed to bamboozle his way through the medical field and became an ophthalmologist. He's an eye doctor, which means he's Dr. Rand Paul. The thing is, of course, that he managed to do this by
Optometrist.
an optometrist, whatever. Basically, he managed to do this by, as a senator, passing a bill, either in the state
Wait,
house.
no.
Yes, he did that.
He passed a bill that would help him get his medical license.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That is a Chad move right
that
there.
is a 100 IQ move. Yeah.
100 isn't that high, but okay.
Sammy, you told me you had 90 IQ. Don't even...
That's even better than 100.
The lower it is, the better it is.
Anyway, continue.
Okay, so Rand Paul was living in this little like suburban hamlet in Kentucky.
Quaint
Now,
place.
his neighbor, Mr. Boucher.
Rene Boucher.
Rene Boucher.
Quite a man.
Now, Rene Boucher has a really interesting backstory himself.
He's 59 years old.
He's an anesthesiologist, which basically means he gives people drugs to make the pain go away. But the way he made his money is even better. So in 2005, Boucher fell off his bicycle and hurt his back.
Right.
Now, to fix this, he created he created this system of bags that you put around your back. That is essentially, it's rice. He has rice bags that you can heat up in the microwave to reduce the amount of pain you feel.
We all know the little rice bags that you heat up, but this man had the big brain idea to make an entire vest out of it.
He made millions off of this.
Maximum comfort.
Millions. Anyway, so he's been living next door to Rand Paul for about a decade now. His wife had recently divorced him. Some people think it's like that Rand might have also been having an affair with her, but that's not confirmed at all. What is known is that Rand is deeply disliked by the people who live next door to him. And mainly that's because of his personality and not his hairdo.
Yeah. Boucher does testify that Rand, before the incident in question, Rand had not talked to him for a single time in about a decade. Am I right, Arend?
Yes, about a decade, meaning that he said hi like when they moved in and then never talked to them again. Now, so Boucher had just been divorced. Rand, in his usual way, he won. The first thing that really got Boucher mad at him was that he didn't mow his lawn correctly. Sometimes Rand would go off into Boucher's lawn, which was like his pride and joy after the divorce.
You know, he's a 59-year-old man. Of course it's his pride and joy. You know, how you can't really blame him for stuff like that.
But that wasn't the worst thing. That wasn't the worst thing that Rand did to him.
That was not the transgression we were going to talk about.
So the lawn waste, like the waste of doing your lawn, Rand would just leave it out. He would just leave it out for Boucher to see. And it drove Boucher crazy that he did it. He was so mad at Rand.
Yeah, I think eventually some of this lawn waste eventually made its way over to Boucher's yard.
Yes, and that was the inciting incident. But you see, Boucher had asked multiple times preceding the incident, like, this is like after the decades long of like no talking.
This is their first contact in a while.
So Boucher asks Rand, hey, can you get rid of that lawn waste? And Rand, in the classic libertarian fashion, is all like, it is my right as an American citizen to do what I want on my own private property. And Boucher's like, dude, just move it, man. I don't have much else to live for right now except my lawn, and looking at that just gives me depression.
That's why I wear my rice vests, to keep me comfort.
Disclaimer, that is not what they actually said, but it may as well have been.
It's paraphrasing.
Anyway.
Yeah, so a few days afterward, I believe, or maybe a week, honestly, it doesn't really matter. What you need to know is that Boucher just hates Rand Paul. So one day, Rand is mowing his lawnmower. And it's this big, like, truck lawnmower.
Probably rephrase that. He's mowing with his lawnmower.
He's mowing with his lawnmower, right. He kind of clips Boucher's lawn. And then also, Boucher sees that there's a bit of Ron Paul's lawn garbage on his lawn. And he just goes off. Now, there's a little bit of, like, a hill. A 30-degree angle hill.
30-degree decline leading down to Rand Paul's yard.
I believe it's like there's still a direct view, but you have to like go over the hill first.
Yeah.
So
probably is just a hill, really.
The way I imagine it is that Boucher just pops his head out over that little hill. His eyes begin glowing red.
With the hate of 1,000 suns.
The hate that you can only have after your pride and joy has been ruined.
He feels hate. Why would I say heat? It can.
Suns don't feel hate, so you get 1,000.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor.
All right.
It doesn't need to be correct.
Very important fact here. Boucher is 5'6" and 140 pounds.
So, if any of you have ever come into contact with a certain individual named Sterling Davis, a close friend of Meckdonalds and soon to be on the podcast,
And who may or may not go to the school.
well, of course
He does go to the school.
Yeah, that's why we're inviting him on the podcast.
No, he doesn't. Smuggling out of elementary.
Anyway,
Keep saying
Rand Paul is 5'8" and I believe he's about 180 pounds.
so Sterling Davis, who's known for his height, worldwide, I believe, is actually about 5'7", meaning that Sterling Davis is quite taller than Renee Boucher here.
And to describe him, not as an insult, but if you saw this sterling individual we speak so highly about, you would think that he might have came in to a field trip from a middle school, or better yet, an elementary.
You
because
think he was
frankly-
anorexic, yeah.
Well, let's just say the kid has yet to go through proper puberty, and that this kid is somehow still taller than him.
And we love him for it.
Yeah, so just for
All right.
so basically, yeah, the
That
guy
was a
is
very
is
big
a
aside.
midget.
This was a very big aside. But anyway, 5'6", Boucher, 140 pounds, comes running over the hill, down the 30-degree angle. He's 59, by the way. And Rand Paul has, earbuds in his head, so he can't hear what's going on.
He's got the AirPods and he can't hear him.
Okay,
As
no,
he's
don't
getting
do
as he's getting off the lawnmower, Boucher, who's running right at him.
The 30-degree decline increases his speed sharply.
Yes, the article we got this from specifically mentions that. Boucher leaps and tackles Ron Paul to the ground
Out of just pure fury.
and breaks, get this, 6 ribs. 6! Do you know how hard it is to break 2 ribs? Boucher must have been going at least 30 miles per hour when he ran into
He's just
Ron Paul.
he's a living truck.
But he didn't take any damage from it. He got a few bruises, but he didn't break anything. But Rand nearly died. In the article also specifically mentions that usually in a physical altercation, like a fist fight, you only get 2 broken ribs. But Boucher must have just tackled him so hard that he broke 6.
Not to mention some internal bleeding going
A
on.
pleural effusion. Blood began pooling up inside of Rand Paul's lungs and began compressing his lung. And about 3 months later, he had to have surgery from it. He nearly died. Rand Paul got nearly just mopped off the floor by this 5'6", 140-pound, 59-year-old, this senior.
So, had he died, would that have been considered a political assassination?
No, that's the thing. The libertarian movement believed this was politically motivated.
Okay.
Well, it was quite the fiasco. Trump may have his fair of accusations and stories and all that stuff in politics, but Rand Paul takes the first place spot for wackiest political story.
No, I would imagine that, Rand Paul drinks unpasteurized milk. You would have thought that would have, strengthened his bones and
He's
stuff.
a milk boy.
If you have to drink milk to be strong, you're probably weak already.
So anyway, Rand
Says
Paul...
Sammy, who's shorter than me.
I don't drink milk.
I don't either.
I drink
Oh
milk.
yeah, the best part of this is that Boucher got 30 days in prison for this. He got a month for nearly killing Rand Paul.
Well, I guess the judge wasn't really a fan of this
The
Rand Paul
judge
person.
just found it so interesting. He decided to let him go for
The
a month.
judge found this hilarious when this short little man came in and said, "Yeah, I nearly killed this dude by
Yes.
tackling him."
I shattered the senator's chest with my pure velocity.
Oh.
That's exactly what he said. I'm
the
paraphrasing.
only man who can defeat the Senate.
The article also mentions that, this is the only major scuffle a senator's been in since 1896, where a slave, a pro-slavery senator, used his cane to just abuse, just beat this man to the floor who was an abolitionist in the middle of the Senate chambers. By the way,
yes, I do remember reading about this in online American government.
the guy just beat this abolitionist while
Yeah.
everyone else was washing.
They were in the Senate chamber. He just got up and said, "You know what? I don't really give a crap. And he just whipped out his cane and went to town.
Well, got a sense for that.
All right, are we done to talk about this Rand Paul thing? You finally got that off your chest?
Rand Paul 2024.
You're done? All right. I think we're done with politics.
2024.
We've spent 30 minutes talking about politics.
That was
Not
not
bad.
30 minutes.
Yes, it has.
25.
25.
Only 25. So, do you guys want to go to next?
Don't you have a story to talk about?
What do you mean? Which one?
The one you wanted to tell us.
Yeah,
Like the really.
Wasn't this the whole reason you wanted to be on the podcast?
What? The StarCraft?
No, do you want to talk about StarCraft?
Oh, yes, sure, yeah.
All right.
I think I
well,
heard-
this is going to be the other third of our podcast. The rest is just going to be some real shenanigans, I suppose.
All right.
If you're not interested in video games,
Oh, trust me.
please log off now.
Don't worry. I'll try to make this interesting. So, I'm not sure exactly what you guys want me to talk about. Like, you want to talk about the gameplay itself?
You said you wanted to talk about it, Sammy.
All right, but I don't want to bore our listeners. So, what part of it do you want to talk about? Because I could talk about it for a long time,
Well,
and I don't have time for everything.
I know nothing about StarCraft. Pretend I'm the listener and just talk to me.
All right, sure. So, StarCraft. Well, don't want to talk about the StarCraft 2, but the original StarCraft series is like considered to be like the greatest strategy game of all time. So the original StarCraft.
It's not.
Okay, well, it is considered by many people, and I consider it myself too. All right, so I don't need to hear your little opinion.
XCOM is superior.
Wait, so the word for being beat by a cane is caning.
All right, Ben, I think we're past that. All right, you never knew that. You don't know what caning is. Okay, whatever. I don't want to talk about this. All right. The original StarCraft is created by the company Blizzard. It also created
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, Overwatch. You know, a lot of those popular games, and Hearthstone. You know, Heroes of the Storm. Just all the Warcraft stuff. Diablo.
Actually, Diva in Overwatch is named after a StarCraft player.
Yeah, I know. That's her backstory or something. But basically, this old Brood War came out in 1998, and it's like one of those oldest strategy games. Like the graphics, like one could just call them ugly or absolutely disgusting. But at the time, 1998, you gotta work with what you got. And the main gimmick of this game is it's like this sci-fi space thing where there's
It's an RTS,
it's a real-time strategy where you harvest resources, build production facilities, create units, build bases, attack other people, and it's like the most competitive strategy game I think out there, and the number one esport for strategy at least. So the lore of this is that
we're going in the lore now.
I'm not gonna go too deep, but basically it's some alternate universe where there's three races. There's the Terrans, which are basically the humans. Like all that space technology, all the spaceships.
But it's a dictatorship, I'm pretty sure. An emperorship.
Well, yeah, there's split into many factions, but in this Brood War game, they're ruled by this thing called the Confederacy, which, no joke, their flag is actually the Confederate flag.
Wait a minute. You can't do that.
Well,
Wait
it
a
was
minute.
1998, all right? So I really don't think people were progressive enough to care.
Also, XCOM came out before this.
Oh, yeah, basically. There's the Zerg, which are like these, I guess you call them like mutant aliens.
Bugs.
They're like the main villains, I guess, in like any aliens or monster movie.
Wait, is that? I'm looking at a picture now of their flag.
Yes,
and
this is real. Like
It's a square.
But the awful
Oh, wait,
cutscenes
no.
they have in the actual game, like there's a spaceship flying by
Okay, no,
and
no,
it's
it's just
carrying the
sweets.
Confederate flag on the back. But I guess we can just ignore that, considering they are the bad guys. Then I guess third race is the Protoss, which is like
They're
these super.
cool.
I can't get
They're
over
like-
that.
They're kind of like
They're just
futuristic technology, but they're also super religious, spiritual
They're
aliens.
psychics. Wait a minute.
They're basically psychics.
Wait a minute.
Okay, that's enough. You have done enough research for now. All right.
Viewers,
I-
my colleague has just found a picture of a space marine from this
StarCraft
from
series.
StarCraft with a hammer and sickle of the Soviet Union on his armor.
Oh, you can spray anything you want in this game. Like it can get pretty weird.
Oh wait, I just remembered the origin of StarCraft.
What?
So Blizzard and Games Workshop, the people who invented Warhammer 40K, were going to do a collab RTS, but then I believe Blizzard pulled out of it, and Games Workshop pulled out of the agreement, and Blizzard was just like, yeah, we're gonna make what we want. Like the Marines in StarCraft look very similar to Warhammer 40K Space Marines. The Zerg are just the Tyranids, and the Protoss are just the Eldar. Like, they kind of ripped off Warhammer in some
Oh
ways.
yes, but they did it like in a special way that made it like unique and different that could stand out, which makes
They avoided
StarCraft
the copyright
ultimately even more popular. So anyways, these Protoss, I don't have to explain them. They're half humanoid, like half alien. They're like higher ascended. Like they've got extreme technology.
They got like
But
those
they've
hairbands.
Well, yeah, they've got these like weird like hairbands on the back, which allow them to communicate psychically in this all thing. And their lore isn't really explained until I think maybe like 2015, 2016.
Who is this podcast meant for, by the way? This must be like the most niche audience.
I'm not
of,
sure,
like,
but if you talk about
political gaming,
if you talk about everything, all right, there's gonna be at least one person who likes something, all right.
Look, I think that as long as we do the politics first, it will be fine. Also, we have like
Oh yeah, so
5 minutes.
I've gone over all the lore I need to talk about. Basically,
Okay.
the main gist of the game is you harvest resources. There's minerals and Vespene gas. You build these command facilities. You've got all these production things for all these other races. You got like a wide variety of units, each with their own strengths and weaknesses and counters. And basically,
It's the perfect Blizzard game.
yeah, it's a perfect blend of micro, which is like how well you control your units, and macro, like how good you are producing and managing your
I
resources.
mean, that, or you could just spam out the same unit all over and over again.
If you want to get past silver in ranks, I guess, sure. But if you look at the competitive
What is
standpoint,
this?
right,
League of Legends.
the amount of APM or like actions per minute required to be good at this game in the professional league, if you see like people on their keyboard cameras, they're hitting their keyboard approximately about like 400 times a minute.
yeah, so that's why you like the game.
Oh yes, which is about like at least 6 times per second.
Viewers,
Which is insane
Sammy
with-
has been actually training to do this.
Oh yeah, so like I play StarCraft 2. I'm a platinum too, but I don't play ranked that much. But yeah, I think I'm like a top 20% of all players, only because I'm Asian. But by this
Whoa.
no, okay, this game, all right, is dominated by Koreans. All right, every esport you've heard the same thing, right?
cannot-
The Koreans are taking over, right?
I can't argue against
You
that.
cannot argue
because
against
it
that.
is true.
Because it is true.
I never said it wasn't true.
So this game
It's just a bit touchy.
will increase your typing speed, and the faster you can type, the better you are at this thing.
If I play the game, will I turn Asian, Sammy?
No, you'll probably actually. Okay, I'd estimate you'd probably be in like low silver if you played hard enough.
It's not the question.
He's
You would
a
not turn
bronze
Asian.
player in Overwatch.
What?
Don't you like
I'm not sure. How
bronze
good
in
are you at-
Overwatch?
Yeah.
How good are you at keyboard video games?
You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
Okay, how fast can you hit your keyboard? Okay, I'll
Look,
put you in like a
Sammy,
bronze 3.
I saw like the best StarCraft player, and he just kept like swapping between views.
Did he
Like
have
Oh yeah,
two
it's
keyboards?
insane. No, well,
he needs 2 keyboards to
There's
keep
a
up with
certain-
it.
there's a certain meme that goes around that, like at the Protoss race, the way it works is you just spam a bunch of like certain type of units. Then
Flying
you hit
ones.
F2, which selects all units, and then you just press A for attack and click on the enemy base, and then you go to sleep and win the game.
I believe that's called a Zerg Rush.
No, that's not. That's called the Protest Death Ball. It's basically where your APM is less than 10. All right, A move Protoss is a big meme because the race is notorious for having like a complete lack of skill. This is not a bias, by the way. I'm a Terran main. All right.
Wait, well, I tell you the Zerg do have skill.
Oh, Zerg. Okay, you don't understand Zerg. Zerg require like the most micro. Well, the second most micro in the game. They're actually like APM intensive.
Okay.
I won't get into the mechanics of it to bore you, but trust
This
me.
is the
I'm
changing
right on
the
this.
subjects.
We're
Yeah.
actually almost out of time, guys.
Yeah, I'll talk more about this
Oh.
later when I have time.
Oh God, no.
No, trust me. It's pretty interesting. I'd say.
Anyway,
All right,
guys.
in future episodes, we plan to talk more about games that are a bit more well known.
I'm going to
Don't
talk
worry,
about
I will-
Subnautica next.
I will finish talking about StarCraft when that time out of this podcast.
We might have a couple of new celebrity guests. We've got a couple more little segments planned, so keep listening. We'll keep you up to date with a couple of things that the school is too afraid to talk about.
Yeah, and your homework you two for tonight is to actually check out. Well, just Ben actually. Just check out a nice game of StarCraft. You'll
Just
probably
me.
see what it's
I
like.
watched the entire campaign of each StarCraft.
you seen the. Oh, so you know the lore
I know the lore, yes.
of StarCraft 2 as well.
It's terrible.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah.
Dang.
The story is terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Dang.
The writing is really bad, but I love the lore.
Like the Terrans are just
Okay.
the Australians, let's be honest. Okay, anyway, next episode, we'll be talking about the phenomenon known as the Grumio Saga.
All right, and that's it.
Is it
Stop the recording. I'll cut this out.